In this video, I want to look a little bit more at subclips. Now be sure to watch that first video on subclipping. In this video, we're going to cover a couple things that I didn't mention in that video. So we've already created a bin for our subclips that we have right here. And the first thing I'd like to mention is, let's just say we want this shot. We want to subclip it out. This is about a 10-second shot. Say we want to grab a couple different shots from this longer clip and kind of structure it out, subclip it out. So whenever we go to create our sequence, we have shorter clips to deal with. So I'll go ahead and mark it in here, and we're going to use slow motion on him. And I want it to stop. And we'll just say there. So we'll out. Let me go ahead and subclip this here. Okay. Now the first thing I want to mention is we can rename these clips. So this clip here is kind of long. You can see it's appended there with subclip 01. So we can click in here and you can leave that sub 01 on there if you want. I won't in this case, just to show you. Let's call this gun draw. Okay, pretty cool. And then of course we can continue subclipping. So my sort of idea is that guy is fighting these other fine fellows right here. So let's subclip some of this out. Maybe we're not ready to create our sequence and say mark an in and mark an out and then go ahead and edit that in. We're not ready yet. We're just sort of going through our footage. So that's what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and grab subclip here, in, out. That's good. Subclip that. And again, we can rename this. So we'll call this fires back. Okay. And we can go on like this. And I know there's going to be another clip down here I'll want about right here, right before they shoot. So and then we'll say out and we'll subclip that. And we'll call this fights back 2 or fires back. Okay. And let's go back to our gun draw guy. Not that one, but this one here. We want him shooting. Boom, right there. So right about when he cocks the handle there, right about there, say in, and he fires, and then we'll say out. Pull this down here. We'll call it gun draw 2 or whatever you want to name it. Okay, so that's the main takeaway. You could rename your subclips whatever you want. Now, I also mentioned in the last video that we could sort of storyboard these out, in a sequence, arranging them, and then dragging a marquee and just throwing them into our timeline. But of course, you don't have to do that. I usually don't do that. I usually use this view here myself. We can, of course, cut these in one at a time. So gun draw, say we're about ready to build up a sequence. So we'll go ahead and pop this in. There's our gun draw. Let's go ahead and get our fires back. Pop that in. Pretty cool. And then we know we want this gun draw 2 here. Pop that in. And then fires back 2. We want that right there. Okay, so now we have a little sequence. But say we have a problem here. Actually, let me go ahead and do this first. Let's go to effects. We're going to put a slow motion effect on him. And that's another thing I want to mention is we can, of course, place effects on our subclips just like we can a full clip. Okay, so don't be worried about making subclips and that you won't be able to manipulate them. Of course you will. You can still do pretty much whatever you want with a subclip. All right, so we'll say we slow this down a little less than 50. We look at it. That's really intense now. Of course, I'd probably have to pull that out farther. And that brings me to the next point is we can actually pull this clip out, and I'll just remove the effect just for now. Say you are building up your sequence and then you realize that, I really need more of him, but I'm using the gun draw subclip. Well, don't fret because look at this. I can roll it out just like I could a full clip because this subclip is still referencing our full clip here. Right here, it's still referencing it, even though it's called gun draw. We've renamed it, we've subclipped it out, made it smaller. It's still referencing the full entire clip. Okay, so that's the next main takeaway is, don't worry if you chop something on your subclip. If you think you did your in and your out, you chopped it too short or too long or whatever. Don't worry about that. You can always trim it back. You can always trim it farther than your subclip. All right, so that's really the main stuff I wanted to mention. We can use effects, we can rename, and we can roll it out, trim it out, whatever you want to do, just like a full clip. For example, if we had some audio in here, we'll just throw in some random audio, pop it in. Okay. And then, okay, so we should have switched right about there. And that's okay. So we can grab our subclip where they fire back, pop it in, and see what I did there. I left my audio channels on. Control Z, make sure this is on video 1 or video 2. Just pop it in there. Okay, but it's not quite right. These guys should be back here a little bit. And we can do that. Even though we're using subclips, we can still manipulate them, roll them around our transition points, cut them down, whatever you want. Okay, so just remember that. We can rename our subclips, we can trim them, we can add effects, and all that stuff we can do with a full long clip.